My epistemological framework, the way that I think about hip hop womanism, has a big four. Now, first of all, I got the language of big four from Dr. James Cone, who is considered the father of Black liberation theology, who has a big three. His big three was Malcolm Martin and James Baldwin. My big four, because I try to think of a big three, but I actually have a big four. My big four is Zora Neale Hurston, Toni Morrison, Dr. Emily Towns, and Jay-Z. I'm here to flesh these out very quickly to make it make sense why I would have a big four. Okay, so so much of my work is really about decolonizing authority. And so some of what has to happen, particularly as a scholar, as a thinker, is that sometimes you need to build the thing because it doesn't necessarily, what you're trying to say or do doesn't necessarily exist. And for me to be able to be decolonizing authority, talking about womanist theology, but not necessarily talking about it really from this Christocentric perspective, how I'm pulling in like a fourth wave of womanism, how I'm actually really naming both the fact that I grew up in the church and also was simultaneously raised by hip hop, that all of these things, the intersection of all these things and these ways of thinking is how I'm thinking. That is how my epistemology is formed. That is how I understand. The filter of what I'm saying to you is filtered through all these things, not separately at the same time. So when I talk about Zora Neale Hurston is really the mother of womanist ethnography, right? This idea that we would always center Blackness, the way that we talk, the things that we say, the phrases, the actual anthropological like digging into the who, what, when, where, why, and how of Blackness. Toni Morrison simultaneously coming in from that same perspective that I'll be out here, on the margins, and you will have to come over here in order to center, like not trying to center anything else but this Black lived experience. And for me, this Black womanish experience, right? This Black girlhood as even my political identity. It's a geographical location for me. It's a socio-political location for me. So I will be over here in Black girlhood. And if you want to understand that, you're going to have to come over here. I'm not coming over here. So Zora Neale Hurston, the specific language of the rocks having memories, and then Toni Morrison saying if the rocks have memories, then the spirit has we believe that our spiritual imagination also is a memory. We have to trust it like it's the gospel truth. That I'm bringing those things, those ideas together and saying, I believe this. If you want to be in relationship with what it is that I'm saying, then you're going to have to come over here to be able to identify that. Dr. Emily Towns really does this womanist ethical work. She's a scholar who connected womanist theology to cultural production and asked what it means to build an ethical imagination inside an empire. And so I'm, thinking, what does it, like taking that work and saying that is so necessary and essential. I like thinking about fantastic hegemonic imagination, that if the entire way that you have learned a thing is inside of that fantastic hegemonic imagination, then I am building something again over here. And we may be saying contrasting things. Yours is not more true than mine because I am building mine outside of this empire. And I'm not telling you that yours is wrong. I'm telling you yours is not this. And this is based through my lived experience, through my spiritual imagination, through all the other things that Zora Neale Hurston's work, Toni Morrison's work, and Dr. Emily Towns' work helps me to build. Here's where Jay-Z comes in. Because I'm saying that this is hip-hop womanism, how would my big four include a man? And also a billionaire. And also, right, like there are a lot of things that we could trouble about an actual ethic that includes someone who has been so publicly critiqued. And I'm not saying that I don't agree with some of that critique, but what I will say is that Jay-Z provides us this language. Do you fools listen to music or do you just skim through it? There's no way that a big four could exist, that my hip-hop womanist epistemology, that my ethics, that these ideas could exist without that particular language. Because I am asking us to do a deep dive. I believe that's where we get everything. How my archive is so thick is because I can go to a memory and I can talk about it from 10 different directions. I can talk about the spirit. I can talk about the soul of it. I can talk about the body of it. I can talk about what my mama think of it. I can talk about what my daddy think of it. I can talk about what my great-grandma in my spiritual imagination was thinking of it. And all of those ideas produce 10 different ways of thinking. This builds the curriculum. It fleshes it out. And it makes it a more whole, robust reality versus me just looking at it from one direction, one perspective, one reality, one framing. And because I have this, do you fools listen to music or do you just skim through it? I actually listen to it. I'm actually listening to what Black people are saying. I'm actually listening to what Black girls are experiencing. I'm listening to these things, and it makes my thinking, my framing, my understanding of it much more. I like the word robust. I'm saying it again in this moment because it's coming to me. It makes it much fuller. It makes it much more robust. It makes it much more profound because I'm not just telling you the thing that I skimmed through. I am showing you the data, the perspectives, the way that spirit and soul and body has been in relationship with this thing. And so, yeah, this is my big four. My hip hop womanist framework has come through these four perspectives. Obviously, there are more scholars and thinkers that I'm in intimate relationship with. I couldn't talk about hip hop womanism without thinking about Alice Walker, without thinking about Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon, without thinking about, Joe Morgan, without thinking about Dr. Brittany Cooper, without thinking about Dr. Shanika Walker Barnes, right? There are so many other scholars that but my big four, which is the big four that I'm always pulling from, and I feel like a lot of these other thinkers that I just mentioned are, very likely pulling from them as well, is Zora Neale Hurston, Toni Morrison, Dr. Emily Towns, and Jay-Z. This is Theology in Plain Clothes, and I will be back to talk more about my big four in the future.